When you start working with Easy Digital Downloads, the first thing you need to do is go through all the settings and configure the plugin to work to your specifications. Easy Digital Downloads has a lot of options and allows for configurations on a very deep level. In the following movies, we'll look at the different configuration settings and how they affect the site. The configuration settings for Easy Digital Downloads can be found in the admin panel under Downloads and Settings. From here, you have a series of tabs under which you can set different settings. So let's look at the general settings first. Off the top, you can enable or disable test mode. If you have test mode enabled, no live transactions are actually processed. This is a great way of testing whether or not the site works. And if you couple it with a sandbox payment gateway, like the PayPal sandbox, you can test whether or not everything works properly on the site. Next, you can set what pages are going to be the checkout page, the success page, and the failed transaction page. Now you'll remember from the previous movie that Easy Digital Downloads created these pages for us. But in some cases, that may not have happened, or you may want to use a different page as the page for each of these items. If so, you would go into the drop-down here and pick what pages are going to represent the checkout page, the success page, and the failed transaction page. Just remember that if you do so, whatever content is currently on those pages will go away and be replaced by these items. Below that, you get to set the currency settings. I'm currently in the US, which means I have US dollars, but you can also choose any number of other types of currencies, including Norwegian krona if you're like me, or many other things. You also get to set the currency position. So by default, it's set to before, because in the US and with most countries that have the dollar sign is before, but you can also set it to after. So for instance, if you're from Norway, you would write NOK after the amount instead of before it. You also have the thousands separator and the decimal separator, because whereas in North America, you use the comma as the thousand separator and the punctuation mark as the decimal separator, in many other countries, it's the opposite way around. So these settings have to correspond to whatever currency you collect money in. And if you use that currency already, you will know what the settings are supposed to be. Finally, you have this usage tracking box, and this is purely for the developers of Easy Digital Downloads. If you check this, the people who made the plugin will be able to track how you are using the service. They won't collect any personal information, but they'll see how the plugin is working, and especially they'll see if it breaks down. So if you want to contribute to Easy Digital Downloads' future without actually doing any work, you just check this box, and then you'll be sending them information about how your plugin works automatically, and you don't have to worry about it. For a purely open source standpoint, having this checked may be a good idea, but if you have a lot of traffic on your site, you may want to uncheck it because it'll slow things down just a marginal little bit. Once you make the changes to what you want, click Save Changes, and the new settings are updated. How you configure the general settings in Easy Digital Downloads depends on your own needs and where, how, and to whom you plan on selling your products. Before you launch your site, I encourage you to come back to this page and make sure all your settings are correct.